YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and thanks to the good folks at MSI, I've got some exciting building to do, and I'm going to tell you what it is. So let's get started. So what has MSI given me? Oh my goodness, folks, this is not just anything. This is like the flagship, the mothership, the mother load, whatever you want to call it. This is amazing. So they have given me an X299 motherboard to tinker around with. Now this is the new motherboard's chipset series and socket that handles the Intel 2066 i7 and i9 series, so Skylake X and KBX. This is the processor that they've sent to me to use. This is an i9 7900X. We'll talk more about that later, but really the focus here is the motherboard. This is an XPOWER Gaming AC. This thing's not on the market yet, and I get to take an early look at it with you, and I'm really excited about this. This may not be the type of setup that your typical gamer wants to use, but when you're a content creator, this type of setup could be very useful as we get all the extra power out of the new processor and all those extra cores and threads. So very excited. Now, the XPOWER Gaming AC is absolutely loaded with features, and we're going to talk through those features right now. All right, so talking through some of the key features, and we'll do an unboxing, and I'll actually show you the board outside of the box after this, but let's get through the features. It's got 4 PCIe 3.0 by 16 lanes. The next key feature of this board is it has 8 DIMM slots for DDR4 RAM, and it can run in up to quad channel memory. So it's going to be able to give you up to 128 gigabytes of RAM, and it runs all the way up to a DDR4 4500 megahertz overclock profile. So huge support for some crazy fast RAM and a lot of it. In terms of expansion slots, it has 1 PCIe 3.0 by 1 slot. This would be the kind of slot that'd be good for stuff like capture cards or other. There's an M.2 expansion bay that comes with this that we'll talk about more, so those type of things would plug into that. It has 10 SATA 6 gigabit ports. 10. It's a lot. That is a lot of optical drives, hard drives, 2.5-inch SSDs, anything else that you're going to need to plug into SATA. It comes ready for Intel Optane memory. Now this is the new memory module that can basically take your hard drive and basically turbocharge it. It's pretty cool stuff. I've seen it demonstrated over on Linus Tech Tips channel. I'll try and put a link in the video so that you can go check that out for yourself, but it is ready for Intel Optane memory. Now the board has 3 USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type A plus C connectors on it, and it also has 10 USB 3.1 Gen 1s and 6 USB 2.0s. Yes, I'm looking at the specs down here, trying to make sure I get it right. I can't memorize all of these. It's got, for the LAN, Intel 1219V gigabit LAN and Intel 1211 AT gigabit LAN. So it's also got 7.1 channel high definition audio, and then the form factor for this particular board is eATX, so slightly larger than your typical ATX board. Over here in this machine, I've got MSI's Gaming M7 with the Z270 chipset, and this is an ATX form factor, so this board is slightly larger than the one that is here in this build. In terms of other features that this board has, it's got the Mystic Light, just like this board has over here. You can see that I have everything synced into a nice MSI themed black and red look here, so I've got LED strips connected to the motherboard, and then also the motherboard's LEDs too. So Mystic Light allows you to sync extended peripherals and other stuff like that so that you can get everything all in sync in terms of the type of LED effects. Or if you're one of those people that hates LED effects, then Mystic Light gives you the ability to turn off the LED effects and not light it up. It has an M.2 FROZR, or M.2 SHIELD FROZR. So this combines a fan on the motherboard that I'll show you that runs over to an M.2 bay, basically, that you can put your drive in, your solid state drive, to help keep it cool. It's got a thermal pad that covers it up, keeps it safe from your graphics card, and again, this time to make it even better, there's a fan running to it because I believe MSI ran into some criticism with the original M.2 Shield maybe actually making stuff hotter. So that's going to be an interesting feature to take advantage of. There are screws in the motherboard that allow you to take off certain housings or covers that you can actually get 3D printed what do you call it, patterns for, that you can go to a 3D printer and you can print off customized plates and stuff to put on this. which is pretty crazy, but pretty neat to do as well. It's got a dual gaming LAN with an Intel wireless card built in as well, so you can run this thing wired or wireless, built into the motherboard. It comes with VROC with M.2, and I'm going to have to read this, Expender Z, which it says, build the prompt OS disk with 2 times faster M.2 devices in RAID 0. Some of that's going over my head, but I know a lot of people talk about RAID 0 and all that stuff. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but basically there's an expansion thing that this comes with that you can plug into that one of the PCIe expansion slots, and you can expand your M.2s, get a whole lot of super fast storage. Basically is the summary of that for those of you who are not into all those, and for those of you who are into it, you can proceed to make fun of me for not knowing exactly what all that stuff is. So this is it comes with Game Boost, which is an automatic overclocking system that you can use pre-created profiles from MSI to overclock your processor, which makes it really easy to overclock. But the Click BIOS that comes with the board gives you access to all the different voltages and multipliers and anything else it is that you would need in order to do all the manual overclocking that you would like. Tons of overclocking control. In terms of the I/O on the rear, a couple of cool features. It's got a clear CMOS button if you need that, and then it also comes with a there's another button for the BIOS, I believe that, yeah, it's a BIOS flashback button. Sorry, I'd forgotten what that was. So it's got a clear CMOS and a BIOS flashback button on the rear I/O, which is pretty cool. And I'll give you a closer picture of the rear I/O whenever we take it out of the box. So that's an overview of the features. Hopefully this gets you pretty excited. I know I'm really excited. Let's get this thing out of the box, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. All right, so I have the motherboard box here, and we're going to open this up and give you a look at the contents. If I can stop whacking my camera there. I actually have a new camera and tripod and setup and everything coming out to me sometime this week. I didn't get it in time to do this video. I would have just waited, but I was kind of strapped for time because I'm about to go out of town. So yeah, that's why I'm not using a better camera setup, but pretty excited. Get a new camera on the way. I have a Panasonic Lumix that'll be coming that should allow me to do much better videos here. I'm going to move the camera over one more time there, so bear with me. All right, so these are the what comes inside the box. Basically what you're going to see here, I'm not going to get everything out of the package right here now, but this is the expander basically for your M.2s, so you can plug this into one of the PCIe by 16s and run M.2s in RAID 0 direct to the CPU, so crazy fast speed. We got drivers, pretty much a bunch of other stuff down here. That's we got our manual, and then let's see what else we got here. Looks like a poster for the X299. If you want to look like that guy, then I'm sorry. And yeah, there's the drivers, motherboard box. Here's an SLI bridge. So this is an MSI SLI bridge for NVIDIA cards. Here we've got some SATA cables, kind of a cool silvery color to them instead of just black all over, which kind of matches the aesthetic. There's 6 SATA cables, so not bad to have. Over here there's this little pouch basically, and if we take a look inside the pouch, this is your antennas for the Wi-Fi. So got all that stuff set up. So good stuff in there, and that's going to cover it for this top box. Let me get that out of the way. And now on to the good stuff, the motherboard itself. So we'll take that out. Nice packing here too, like seeing all the foam. Make sure it's going to sit still and get to you safely, especially when it's a board of this caliber and price level. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing out of the package, and we'll set it right here. Look at this beautiful motherboard. Good gracious, man, does that look good. So this is our X299 XPOWER Gaming AC motherboard in all its glory. You can see the 2066 socket here for anything Skylake X and KB Lake X, though not sure where KB Lake X is going to, but Skylake X kind of makes sense. There's going to be a lot of you making comments in this video about Threadripper coming up. Don't worry, I intend to also review Threadripper and the boards that go with that. But here we've got our M.2 SHIELD FROZR. This is where you can pop this little button here. This is a really cool feature. You put your M.2 right here in the PCIe configuration, and there's a fan underneath this that allows you to basically push some of that cooling this way over to your M.2. And then there's a couple more M.2 shields here as needed. Of course, the fan's not connected to them, but this thing looks awesome when it's lit up. It looks like Iron Man's suit or something. It's crazy awesome. So love the shrouds and stuff here too. The black with the silver aesthetic is just absolutely beautiful. And you can see that there's steel armor on every single PCIe slot. This thing is loaded with fans. I mean, there's 4 fan headers right down here at the very bottom. I'll push it up right there. These 4 fan headers, and then there's another fan header right over here, and another fan header up here, and then your CPU fan header further up, and then there's more fan headers. This thing's got fans galore. You can't run out of fans. All the DIMM slots, the DIMM slots, again, armored as well. And then you get some cool LED effects that we'll see once it's installed here and over here, and those will get lit up, and you can use the Mystic Light Sync. Here's your 24-pin ATX power LED readout. There's a power button on the board, and some voltage plus and minus controls there too for the Avid overclocker. So lots of cool stuff. There's all your SATA inputs and a U.2 as well as a USB 3.0. And speaking of, there's one USB 3.0 what do you call it, header right there. And then over here there are 2 USB 2.0 headers and another USB 3.0 header here. So plenty of support for all the peripherals and stuff you're going to need to pull in. If I flip the board over and we take a look at the back, here's the processor backplate looking very good, and then MSI has this backplate here in this kind of titanium looking color. Absolutely beautiful motherboard, gorgeous motherboard. So very, very excited. Let's take a look at the rear I/O that I told you about earlier. You can see tons of USB slots there. It looks like the red ones are usually the 3.0, so I can see 7 3.0 on the back, 2 2.0s. There's your CMOS and BIOS buttons. There's like that old mouse or keyboard plug-in that I'm not sure why it's still used or what it's called. The dual LAN right here you can see. So pretty sweet stuff. A USB Type-C right there. Here's your wireless connections, and then the full HD audio suite with the optical as well. So definitely some great features on this board. This board is amazing. I can see why it's going to be their flagship. It has absolutely anything you can imagine and support for tons of stuff. So you've seen the board. I'm going to put this into my build. The other thing that I haven't gotten to talk to you about yet, I'm going to get the board out of the way. So the piece of this project that I haven't talked to you about yet, I actually already used this H100 Iv2 all-in-one water cooler from Corsair. So Corsair sent this over with MSI. So this is a joint venture with them, so appreciate Corsair as well. I love Corsair stuff. I have a ton of Corsair stuff, and no, they're not paying me to say any of this. I just love their peripherals. And so we're going to use this Corsair 240 millimeter liquid all-in-one cooler to cool this chip right here, which this is the i9 7900X. So pretty dang exciting. We're going to try out all kinds of overclocking. We'll check the thermals and the overall performance. I have benchmarked my Z270 build with my 7700K, both overclocked and stock, and we'll compare that to how this processor performs both in Total War games as well as in work tasks like rendering video and just straight up benchmarks like Fire Strike, Time Spy, and I'll do some rendering and other stuff like that. And I expect that before we get to the end of this chip is going to blow away my old one in terms of multi-core performance. So anything like rendering or data crunching or anything else like that, this chip's going to absolutely destroy my 7700K. Though I expect the 7700K will actually win in gaming because of most games' affinity to high core frequency, basically. But let's go see if that's true, and let's see what the differences are like, and talk through the pros and cons of an Intel Skylake X X299 build, and how that compares to, say, something like a Z270 or an AMD AM4 build. And then eventually we're coming up on the X399 with Threadripper, and we'll kind of give you some speculation on that as well and talk about how all this fits in. YouTube, I'm back, and we have completed the build. I didn't actually show the build this time because last time I did show you the entire build, and I was just trying to hopefully make the video just a bit easier. So mainly just wanted to cover the features and then show you the final build layout. Now previously, just for those of you who may be wondering, this is a Corsair Carbide Air 540 case. It's a cube case. And I have, let me tell you about the setup of the case. Previously I was running my radiator up here on the top of the case. I instead put my 240mm fans as exhaust. I put the radiator, which is a 240mm Corsair H100 Iv2. This is the one that Corsair provided for this build. And you can see that I've placed it on the front because I want it pulling fresh, cool air in order to maximize performance. And then I've run the hoses along the bottom over here to the processor. Now, mounting a water cooler on the X299 board was very, very easy. The water cooler attaches to some standoffs that are already built on to the X299 motherboard. I'm assuming it was probably similar on possibly X99. I never owned it, but anyway, it's built for water cooling. So it's very easy to set up. You just need the little standoffs. You screw them into the board, and then these screw down onto that. So the H100 Iv2 was extremely easy to set up with this processor. And I have done some performance tests, and it's also working very well. But anyway, that's how I set up my CPU. On this particular board, when you have 4 sticks of RAM or DIMMs, they set up in this fashion here. So I've got 2 on either side. And then I got my capture card actually up here in PCIe lane 1. And then I've actually got my GTX 1080 Ti down here in PCIe lane 3. Now, lane 3 is a by 16 lane. So you can put this down here and still get full speed. I had to consult the motherboard manual for that, but I am still in a 16 lane PCIe slot here. I had to put it further down in this build because of the hoses running in this particular setup. Part of the reason why my radiator changed, one was performance, and it's working. I wanted it up front getting cool air. And then this motherboard is actually about an inch wider. So it's 12 inches from top to bottom, which is the same as the gaming M7, the Z270 motherboard I had previously, but it's 1 inch wider. So that's what you have to watch out for. So it comes over further and it cramps your room. In this particular case, if you really are probably hardcore into X299, probably makes sense for you to get a full tower rather than a mid tower, or a mid tower case that has a bit more room. But honestly, this setup is working great, and it's just fine. Now, one thing I did use, and it's kind of hard to see in this particular shot, but there's the M.2 FROZR that I told you about, which is the fan on the motherboard that also cools the M.2. I've had a chance to see that in action. I haven't done extensive testing, but the temperatures stay good, and it's really awesome to have that shielded. But anyway, that's the build setup that I have, and just for those who may want to know, these are Corsair Ml Fans. These are ones that I've purchased previously. They're not, what's promoted in this video is the H100 Iv2, which is this water cooler they gave me, and then of course MSI giving me this amazing X299 XPOWER Gaming AC motherboard. Those are the 2 things that are promoted. Everything else was stuff that I have purchased outside of that. But yeah, these ML fans are really nice in the sense that you can get a ton of airflow out of them, and at low speeds they're quieter than normal fans, and they ramp up to higher speeds than most normal fans do. That's why I'm using them, and they're good for both static pressure and airflow. So that's my case setup. What's the performance like? That's the big question here, so let's go find out. Alright, so this is the build actually turned on and lit up. I'm actually using the red settings on the Mystic Light. You can see the Iron Man type thing here, and then the other red LED over there. So the board itself is an overkill on built-in LED, but there is plenty of capability for it. There is a JLED header down on here that you can hook stuff up to, and of course the Mystic Light extension or app can basically sync up all of those different peripherals if you're into LEDs. And for those who hate LEDs or RGB, you can just go into this gaming app and turn it off. So you can run it plain, or you can run it like this. But really like the setup in terms of this aesthetic. It's very nice. You could do it up more, you know, with RGB fans and get some LED strips going on. But honestly, it looks pretty good the way it is now. I may run like 1 or 2 LED strips in the future, But like just you get the nice white LED, and that can be changed too on the Corsair water pump. But then also the nice little bit of backlit from the RAM, and then just the white ML fans around here, giving this thing a pretty sweet metallic aesthetic, which is definitely something I'm going for, and you can't ever go wrong with the sweet red and black MSI aesthetic going on. So now you've seen what it looks like built and running. Let's go in and take a look at some of the performance of this processor and this motherboard and the cooler. It's impressive, all of it.